Namaskaram. In this modern world, everyone is busy, very busy. You ask someone, how are you? They say, busy. But being busy is not the same as being effective. You can run all day on a treadmill and still be in the same place. People keep talking about hard work hard and success will come. But I want you to just pause and ask, is that really true? If hard work alone was the key, the man digging a ditch for 12 hours a day should be a millionaire by now. So what's missing? You see, smart work is not about being lazy, and hard work is not a badge of honor by itself. The real question is, are you working consciously, intelligently, aligned with reality? Today, let's peel off the illusions. Let's understand not just how to work hard or smart, but how to work right. Because ultimately, life doesn't reward effort, it rewards results. Hard work is often celebrated as the ultimate path to success. From childhood, we are told, work hard and you'll achieve anything. It's ingrained into our education, our workplaces, even our families. We see people toiling day and night, putting in long hours, sacrificing sleep, health, and sometimes relationships, all in the name of hard work. And indeed, effort is necessary. Nothing of value ever comes without some form of exertion. But the problem is not with hard work itself. The problem is when hard work is seen as the only ingredient in the recipe for success. Let's look at a simple analogy. Imagine two men tasked with chopping wood. One takes an old dull axe and starts swinging with all his might. He's sweating, panting, and pushing himself to the edge. The other one, before even starting, takes the time to sharpen his axe. He studies the direction of the grain, chooses the right technique, positions himself, and then begins. Who do you think finishes first? With less exhaustion and better results? That is the difference between raw effort and refined intelligence. That is the difference between hard work and smart work. Hard work in its pure form is noble. It's the fuel of persistence, of determination, of resilience. But without a direction, without clarity, it becomes like trying to row a boat without a rudder. You may be paddling intensely, but you don't know where you're going. Or worse, you might be going in the wrong direction altogether. Smart work brings that rudder into play. It questions the method before pouring in the madness. It aligns effort with purpose. It's not about doing less, it's about doing better. Now, this doesn't mean that smart work replaces hard work. In fact, smart work amplifies the value of your hard work. The two are not enemies, they are partners. But the key distinction lies in the sequence. If you start with hard work and no understanding, you may end up wasting years. But if you begin with intelligence, observation, and strategy, then your effort becomes more precise, more impactful, more powerful. In today's world where information is abundant and time is limited, those who thrive are not necessarily those who work the hardest in the traditional sense. They are the ones who know where to focus their energy. They are the ones who learn to automate, delegate, and eliminate. They understand the power of leverage, whether it's through technology, collaboration, or systems. These are people who don't just ask, how can I work harder? They ask, how can I achieve more with less struggle? Smart work is also deeply connected to awareness. When you are aware, truly aware, you begin to see what others miss. You notice the inefficiencies, you recognize patterns, you anticipate problems before they occur. This is not mystical, it is just conscious observation applied practically. A person working smartly is not merely trying to finish a task. They are trying to understand the system that governs the task. They want to know why things are the way they are and whether they can be improved. This mindset is what drives innovation, progress, and evolution. Hard work without awareness can become mechanical, repetitive, and even soul-draining. You may be busy all day and still not move forward. But smart work is about movement with meaning. It's not just about hours clocked in, it's about value created. It's not about suffering for success, it's about aligning with reality so that success becomes a natural consequence of how you operate. Consider nature itself. A tree doesn't try hard to grow. It simply follows the intelligent design embedded within it. The sun doesn't burn out trying to shine. It does what it is made to do in harmony with the universe. When you learn to work in alignment with who you are and what the world truly demands, your effort becomes graceful, even joyful. You begin to function with an ease that seems effortless to others, but is born out of deep clarity. Smart work also requires humility. Because to work smartly, you must admit that effort alone is not enough. You must pause, observe, learn, adapt, and sometimes unlearn. You must be willing to question the very habits that made you feel productive but yielded little. You must be open to feedback, to better ways of doing things, even if that means letting go of what you've always done. This humility to learn, to improve, to refine, this is the hallmark of someone who chooses wisdom over brute force. Blind effort without direction is like running in circles, exerting energy, sweating profusely, and convincing yourself you're progressing, when in truth, you're just getting dizzy. It's one of the most common traps people fall into, especially in a culture that glorifies hustle without questioning the outcome. Effort by itself is a raw force. It's like fire. It can cook your meal or burn down your house. Without guidance, without clarity, that energy can easily be misdirected, wasted, or even destructive. In many people's lives, there's no shortage of hard work. You see them waking up early, pushing themselves late into the night, constantly on the move, constantly busy. But the real question is not how busy you are, but whether your busyness is actually moving you forward. Are you climbing the right mountain? Are you even facing the right direction? Because if you're not, all that effort becomes a form of resistance to your own growth. You're working hard, but for what? You might be perfecting a process that leads nowhere. You might be mastering a task that doesn't even matter in the bigger picture of your life. Direction is not a luxury. It's not something you figure out eventually. It's foundational. Before you throw yourself into the fire of action, you need to step back and see clearly. What is your goal? What is the smartest path? Are you chasing something you even want? Or are you just following a script written by someone else? A parent, a teacher, a society that told you, work hard and everything will be fine. But what if everything you're working hard for isn't even aligned with your truth? People often confuse motion with progress. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're advancing. A rocking chair moves, but it doesn't go anywhere. Similarly, if your effort isn't aligned with a clear intention, you might just be digging a deeper hole instead of building a staircase. A person could spend years working in a job they hate, all the while believing they are being responsible, but deep down they feel stuck. The more they push, the more exhausted they become, and yet fulfillment eludes them. This is not because they lack discipline or drive. It's because the direction is missing, the vision is blurred. When direction is present, effort becomes meaningful. Every action, every step is guided by an inner compass. You start to distinguish between what's essential and what's noise. You stop saying yes to everything just to appear busy. You realize that one well-aimed arrow is worth more than 1,000 stones thrown randomly. This clarity doesn't come from frantic doing. It comes from stillness, reflection, and a willingness to ask difficult questions. What truly matters? What truly matters? What am I trying to create? Is this the most effective use of my energy? Some people wear exhaustion as a badge of honor. They believe being tired all the time proves their worth. But in reality, that exhaustion might just be a symptom of misalignment. When you're working with direction, with a sense of inner knowing, effort becomes less tiring. Even challenges feel different. You may still work hard, but you work with purpose. There's a sense of forward momentum, of flow. But when direction is missing, even small tasks feel heavy, frustrating, and meaningless. Blind effort also blocks creativity. When you're too busy to think, you miss opportunities. You don't see the shortcut that could save you hours. You ignore the tool that could simplify your process. You miss the collaboration that could elevate your work. Be constantly in doing mode keeps you from entering being mode, where insight, innovation, and wisdom arise. Smart work isn't just about doing things efficiently. It's about knowing what to do in the first place. A farmer doesn't just plow the land blindly. He studies the season, the soil, the weather, the seeds. He times his actions carefully. He understands that effort must be in harmony with the environment to bear fruit. Life is no different. You must observe, understand, and then act. When you act without observation, without understanding, you're gambling with your time and energy. There's nothing wrong with effort, but if it's not guided by awareness, it becomes struggle. It becomes a cycle of trying harder, burning out, and still not getting the result you want. At that point, more effort is not the answer. Better direction is. Clarity is more powerful than intensity. One moment of insight can save you years of hard work. But to reach that insight, you must pause, question, and look within. You must be willing to stop sprinting long enough to ask, am I even on the right road? Smart work leverages time, tools, and timing in a way that multiplies results without multiplying stress. While hard work often emphasizes intensity and endurance, smart work is about precision, efficiency, and awareness. It is not a shortcut. It is an evolved form of effort that respects time as a limited resource, understands the power of the right tools, and recognizes the importance of when to act, not just how. Time is the most democratic resource on this planet. Every human being has the same 24 hours in a day. The billionaire, the monk, the artist, the laborer, they all begin their day with the same clock ticking. Yet the way those hours are used determines the quality and direction of life. Smart work begins with the recognition that time is not just to be filled, it is to be managed, guarded, and optimized. People who work smart are not necessarily busier. They are more conscious of where their time is going. They do not confuse being busy with being productive. They structure their day around priorities, not distractions. They focus on outcomes, not just actions. They invest their time where it yields the highest return, whether that return is in money, peace, growth, or contribution. Tools are another pillar of smart work. In any field, the right tool can cut effort in half and double the outcome. But tools are not just machines or gadgets. They include knowledge, systems, frameworks, software, methods, even other people. The person who knows how to use tools wisely will always outperform the person who relies only on brute force. A carpenter with dull tools can spend hours on a single piece of wood, while one with sharp instruments and skillful hands finishes the job with speed and precision. The same applies in all areas of life. If you are writing, are you using the best methods to organize your thoughts? If you are selling, are you using technology to reach your ideal audience? If you are learning, are you choosing the right mentors, courses, or experiences that match your goals? There is also an inner tool, the mind. A sharp, clear, and disciplined mind is one of the most powerful tools available. Smart workers continuously refine their thinking. They question their assumptions. They seek feedback. They keep learning. They do not just repeat tasks, they reflect on how to do them better. While hard workers may pride themselves on repetition, smart workers focus on refinement. They know that upgrading their tools, external and internal, is not a cost but an investment. Timing is the final dimension where smart work makes a major impact. Knowing when to act is just as important as knowing how. In farming, if you plant seeds too early or too late, the crops may not grow, no matter how hard you work afterward. In life, timing can make or break opportunities. A smart worker observes the environment, the trends, the needs of the moment. They know when to wait and when to strike. They don't rush simply because others are moving. They understand the rhythm of success, and they sync their actions accordingly. This sense of timing comes from awareness, patience, and experience. It cannot be forced, only cultivated. In the realm of business, for example, a well-timed product launch can create massive impact, while the same product introduced too early or too late may fail. In relationships, the right words said at the wrong time may still hurt. In decision-making, haste often leads to regret, while well-timed moves appear effortless and natural. Smart workers develop this sense by paying attention not just to what they are doing, but to when they are doing it and why. When time, tools, and timing align, something remarkable happens. Results come not just faster but smoother. There's a flow. You're not constantly pushing against resistance. You're not exhausted at the end of every day wondering if your effort made a difference. You begin to see how much more is possible with less strain. You begin to respect your energy, your mind, your time as sacred. You stop idolizing struggle and start honoring effectiveness. Smart work is not about avoiding effort. It's about elevating it. It's about lifting your actions from the mundane to the meaningful. It's about becoming a conscious creator of your outcomes, not just a laborer of circumstance. And it all starts with the decision to not just work hard, but to work wisely. Hard work builds discipline. Smart work builds results. Both are essential, but they serve different purposes in the journey of growth and success. Discipline is the backbone of consistency, and without consistency, even the best ideas or strategies fall apart. Hard work teaches the value of showing up every day, regardless of how you feel. It trains the body and the mind to obey a rhythm, to stay the course even when motivation fades. It's the grind, the persistence, the repeated effort that forms the foundation of any skill or mastery. Discipline is not glamorous. It's waking up when you don't want to, doing the work when no one is watching, staying focused when distractions pull at you from every direction. It's the quiet, uncelebrated repetition that slowly builds mental strength. Hard work, in this sense, is like the training ground. It toughens the muscles of the mind, teaches patience, and reinforces commitment. A disciplined person can endure more, bounce back quicker, and stay stable in the face of uncertainty. This inner strength is cultivated only through sustained effort. But while hard work builds this inner engine, smart work is what decides where that engine goes. Results do not come just from effort, they come from correct application. Many people work tirelessly and still feel stuck. They are responsible, but their progress is minimal. This is where smart work becomes the difference maker. It brings analysis into action. It evaluates what is working and what is not. It discards what is unnecessary. It pivots, adapts, and redefines the path forward based on feedback and insight. Smart work is result-oriented. It begins with the end in mind and reverse engineers the process. It doesn't simply value movement, it values movement in the right direction. While hard work asks, how much can I do? Smart work asks, what actually needs to be done? It's the art of making your effort count, of choosing the battles that truly matter and walking away from those that don't. Smart workers are not lazy, they are selective. They choose their actions based on impact, not impulse. When combined, discipline and smart strategy create a powerful dynamic. Hard work ensures you show up every day with energy and focus. Smart work ensures that energy is being invested where it actually creates change. One without the other is incomplete. If you only work hard without questioning the method, you risk becoming mechanical, busy but ineffective. If you only work smart without the discipline to follow through, you become inconsistent, brilliant in ideas but poor in execution. The balance of both brings sustainability and success. It's also important to understand that results are not just external. Smart work generates inner clarity. It gives you a sense of progress that fuels further action. It reduces stress because it eliminates wasted motion. It teaches you how to prioritize your life in a way that aligns with your values and goals. You no longer chase everything, you start choosing. This choosing creates space, mental space, emotional space, and within that space, real results emerge. Even in creative fields or entrepreneurship, where freedom is often romanticized, it is the discipline gained through hard work that builds the structure needed to turn ideas into reality. At the same time, it is the insight gained through smart work that prevents you from spending years building something no one needs. The musician who practices for hours each day may have discipline, but it is the one who also understands audience, trends, and emotion who creates timeless music. The student who memorizes the textbook works hard, but the one who understands how to apply the concepts scores higher. The employee who stays late every night may be noticed, but the one who solves complex problems efficiently gets promoted. Results are what the world sees, but the quality of those results depends on the quality of thinking behind the action. Smart work is reflective. It constantly refines the process. It is not content with doing something the same way just because that's how it's always been done. It challenges tradition, tests assumptions, and finds the simplest, most elegant way to reach the goal. It doesn't reject hard work. It honors it by giving it a clear direction. Discipline without results is frustrating. Results without discipline are temporary, but together they create momentum that sustains itself. Success needs a blend, not a bias. In life, it's rarely about choosing between extremes. It's about finding the balance that fits the context, the goal, and the individual. The debate between hard work and smart work has often been framed as a choice, as if one is superior to the other. But this kind of thinking is limiting. Real success doesn't come from being rigid, it comes from being adaptive, from knowing when to push and when to pause. when to grind and when to glide. It comes from integrating different energies in a way that supports progress without unnecessary struggle. Hard work is the force of persistence. It is effort in motion. It is the willingness to do what's necessary even when it's difficult or tedious. It's about building character through repetition, through endurance, through sacrifice. It shapes identity. It creates resilience. But hard work without wisdom can become slavery to a process. It can lead you down parts that exhaust you but don't fulfill you. It can become noise, loud, intense, but lacking melody. Smart work, on the other hand, is about clarity. It's the intelligence to know where to apply your energy, when to pivot, how to optimize. It is subtle and strategic. But smart work alone can make one overconfident, prone to shortcuts, or unwilling to embrace necessary effort. It can breed a false sense of efficiency that overlooks the value of grind. In many cases, smart ideas remain unmanifested because the person behind them lacked the discipline to see them through. So while smart work makes things easier, hard work makes things happen. Success demands both. It needs the muscle and the mind, the hands and the head, the vision and the velocity. It requires a person to think like a strategist and act like a warrior, to spend time planning but also get their hands dirty in execution. Too much bias toward hard work can make you rigid. Too much bias toward smart work can make you complacent. Balance is not about doing equal amounts of each. It's about doing the right proportion at the right time. Based on what the right proportion at the right time, based on what the moment demands. In the early stages of any journey, whether it's a career, a business, or a skill, hard work often dominates. That's when you're building foundation, forming habits, learning the ropes. At this stage, the effort may feel blind, repetitive, and intense. But as you evolve, the ratio begins to shift. You start seeing patterns. You begin to understand what works and what doesn't. This is when smart work enters more consciously. Now, you're not just doing, you're designing. You're not just moving, you're measuring. A person who learns to blend these forces becomes powerful. They can hustle when needed, but they can also pause to reassess. They know when to go full speed and when to take a step back to recalibrate. They are not stuck in a binary mindset. They are fluid. Life itself is fluid. It changes every moment. And those who succeed in the long run are not the ones who pick a side and stay there. They are the ones who can dance between energies, who can shift gears gracefully. This blend is also what prevents burnout. Many people burn out not because they work too much, but because they work inefficiently. They put in tremendous effort without clarity, without systems, without rest. On the flip side, some try to be overly clever, avoiding work to the point where nothing meaningful ever gets built. The real magic happens when wisdom meets willpower, when insight meets action, when creativity meets consistency. This is the formula that produces lasting achievement. In any field, whether it's sports, art, science, or leadership, the top performers are not just hard workers or smart thinkers. They are both. They train with intensity, but they also study the game. They work long hours, but they also innovate their approach. They don't just rely on brute force, nor do they sit back waiting for the perfect system. They engage fully, mentally and physically, emotionally and strategically. They are not slaves to effort, nor are they addicted to ease. They are guided by a deeper understanding of what it takes to move from where they are to where they want to be. Bias limits growth. It forces you to defend one method while ignoring the other. But success is not interested in your loyalties. It responds to what works. And what works is a dynamic combination of elements that must be constantly adjusted. The blend will look different for everyone depending on their strengths, their goals, and their environment. But the principle remains the same. The integration of hard work and smart work creates a force far greater than either one on its own. We live in a world that celebrates the outcome but forgets the process. Everyone wants success, recognition, fulfillment, but very few are willing to understand what it truly takes to get there. The truth is, there is no secret formula, no universal strategy, no single path that fits all. What works for one may fail for another. But one truth remains consistent. Whether you choose to work hard, work smart, or blend both, self-awareness is the foundation that gives meaning to your effort. Without self-awareness, hard work becomes punishment and smart work becomes manipulation. You may work hard because you were told it's noble, respectable, or necessary, but if you never ask why you're doing what you're doing, your journey becomes hollow. You wake up each day driven by duty, not desire. You follow a routine that numbs rather than sharpens. On the surface, you appear disciplined. Inside, you're disconnected. You've become a machine in a system you never chose. On the other hand, smart work without self-awareness can become self-deception. You may chase efficiency, not to grow, but to escape effort. You may chase shortcuts without building character. You might be choosing the most optimized way, but if that choice is driven by ego, fear, or laziness, the outcome may still leave you empty. Smartness, when rooted in insecurity or overconfidence, turns into arrogance. It blinds you from the wisdom of experience. You end up looking for hacks to life, but life doesn't reward hacks, it rewards depth. Self-awareness is what allows you to pause and look inward. It invites you to examine your motivations, your tendencies, your triggers. It helps you see where your strengths lie and where your blind spots are. Without it, you'll keep repeating the same patterns, blaming the world, while never questioning your own programming. You'll think your problem is not working hard enough or not being smart enough, when in fact the problem is you never stop to understand yourself. The more you become aware, the more strategic you become, not in terms of manipulation, but in terms of alignment. You begin to align your work with who you truly are. If you're a creative person, self-awareness stops you from suffocating in rigid routines. If you're analytical, it helps you avoid overthinking and step into action. It's not about choosing a style of work, it's about choosing your style of work. The world is full of advice: wake up early, hustle more, automate everything, but none of it matters if you don't know who you are, what drives you, what drains you, and what inspires you. Even purpose becomes clear only when you're self-aware. Until then, you're just chasing borrowed dreams. You may be working hard to climb a mountain, only to realize it's not the one you wanted to be on. You may be optimizing every step of the journey, only to find that the destination doesn't fulfill you. Self-awareness brings honesty to the process. It makes your path personal. It lets you choose effort with intention. You stop copying others and start listening to your inner voice. In a world obsessed with doing more, going faster, and appearing successful, self-awareness invites stillness. It gives you the courage to slow down so you can speed up in the right direction. It teaches you that progress isn't always visible, that rest is not laziness, that questioning is not weakness. It strips away the noise and reveals the essence. And when you operate from that place, whether you work hard or work smart, you work with power. There's a deep clarity that comes from knowing yourself. You no longer seek approval. You no longer need to prove your worth through busyness. You're not swayed by trends or peer pressure. You work with purpose, not just pressure. You choose your battles wisely. You know when to grind and when to let go. You respect your own rhythm. And from that space, you start building a life that is not just productive, but also peaceful. All transformation begins with awareness. Without it, any strategy becomes mechanical. But with it, even a simple step becomes profound. Whether you're aiming for success in your career, relationships, health, or creativity, it all begins by turning inward. Only then can you design a path that reflects your truth, your pace, and your potential.